Hi, welcome back to the shed. Today in the shed we've got a couple of very early cathode ray tube pocket TVs. Earliest one, and the first one we'll be looking at, is the Sinclair Microvision MTV-1B, and then later on we'll be looking at the Sony Watchman FD9. I can't really show you them working too well in the shed because I'm in a very low signal ratio area, and even our own TVs have got whopping great aerials on the roof. What I should do at the end of the video is I'll take these TVs to an area in the house where we get a better signal, and I'll show you the TVs working. But to start with, we'll have a closer look at the Sinclair Microvision, introduced way back in 1978. So here is the Microvision, as I say, launched back in 1978, very much ahead of its time really. And before we go into a bit more detail on the actual TV itself, I think the Microvision story is worth telling. Sinclair, always, very much a British inventor, quite ahead of his time really. Never really appeared to make very much money, had a few flops with the C5 and things like that, but you've got to admire him, he kept coming back, and he certainly had a go. And way back in 1966 he had the idea for the first pocket TV, the first Microvision, and he showed the set at a TV and radio exhibition of that year, and it completely stole the show. It was a very modern compact set in its day. It had, I believe, 30 transistors in total, which was quite remarkable when transistor radios were still quite a new thing. And he hoped to market the TV the following year in 1967 for the total cost of 49 guineas, which I imagine was a heck of a lot of money. But despite making several successful prototypes, it just proved too complicated for mass production, and the idea was shelved for 10 years. And then he tried again back in 1976 with the first Sinclair Multivision MTV-1. And that was actually the very first multi-standard TV set which you could use in the UK and in America and abroad. They had the same 2-inch tube that you find in the MTV-1B, but the actual casework was actually all metal. It was a far superior construction. Had a rather nice fascia on the front of it where you could actually see your two tuning scales. And it was squarely aimed really at professionals and executives at the time, and that was reflected in the cost, because the cost of the original pocket TV was a massive $400 in America and around £250 in the UK, and I think that was really its downfall, because he unfortunately made quite a loss with that one. So he had another go, and this was the actual product. This is the MTV-1B. As I say, it's a much simplified product. It has a all plastic cased construction, but and it was a simpler design, and it was cheaper to produce. And this was sold in the UK at around about £100, and sort of around about the $200 mark in the US. I mean, a heck of a lot of money in 1978, but I think he had a bit more success with this one and actually shifted a few more items. This particular model, the MTV-1, it was made and produced with the backing of then the National Enterprise Board, which was run by the Labour government of the day, and he sold this for just 2 years until government funding was withdrawn by Margaret Thatcher and the Conservative government, which ironically Clive was a keen supporter. However, he did receive £10,000 in compensation, and he did gain a knighthood, so I don't suppose he was too disappointed really. The Multivision product, this particular TV, was then sold to Binatone in late 1979, and they went on to produce it for around another year, and it was then eventually killed off by the actual introduction of the less power hungry and more compact black and white LCD TVs at the time. So there we go. So quite a story really, just behind this this product. So we'll have another closer look now at the MTV 1B. Here we go. This is the. We'll have a little closer look at the Sinclair Microvision MTV 1B. I was hoping to be able to get a picture here just to sort of like show you in the shed, and I've been fiddling with it for a few minutes, and unfortunately I just haven't quite got the strength of signal. You can just barely make out a picture there, but it's not particularly clear. Although I can get a picture actually in the house and upstairs. So what I'll do is at the end of the video I'll just put a little clip on there so you can actually see the picture itself. So we'll give up with that for now because that's not going to go anywhere. Okay. So as I say, introduced 1978. It features a 2-inch or 50mm if you prefer, a D5 100-watt black and white CRT tube, made in Germany by AG Telefunken Limited. And on the front of the TV here, basically all you have is a volume control, which you'll get static if I turn it up. There we go, nothing to really report home. In fact, I'll switch it off now to save the batteries. There we go, it's back on your own. Right. Not a bad sound actually, a tiny 1-inch speaker or so, but actually is quite a reasonable sound out of such a small unit. And then next to the volume control you have this little grey tuning knob here, which is, to be honest, it is rather small. And then on the side of the camera here, put some more light on for you. You can see there's just a basic tuning scale, and it is very basic, to be honest. I mean, it's more of a kind of adjusting and just using the screen really to actually see where you are. Moving along, you've got these little two kind of like screw knobs here. This one is the vertical line hold and this one is the frame hold. And I must say, since I've been playing with this TV set on occasions, I've never had to actually adjust those. It's always been quite good, once we can get a strong signal, of course. Then you've got a little small DC input jack there for a power transformer that wasn't supplied with the set. And then a little, I think that's probably a 2.5-inch mono earphone jack, and I do believe you did actually get a little kind of earpiece that came with the actual TV. On the back here you get this rather flimsy, to be honest, little stand. I mean, it does kind of work. It's sort of adjustable in 3 positions, but it does seem to have been put on as a bit of an afterthought, to be honest, and you know, a little bit sort of Heath Robinson, I'm afraid that. On the back of the TV unit here we've got these little 2 screw terminals, which it tells us it's for external aerial input. So you'd obviously, there's no plug, you'd have to strip the coaxial and just attach those two. I've never really bothered, you know, tried using those. I'm sure you'd get probably quite a good picture. And then if we look on the top of the unit, this is probably its smartest actual side of appearance. You've got a rather large chrome telescopic aerial, so this one's gone a little bit sort of floppy over the years. But and then you've got a little sort of 1-inch or so speaker there, and then in this little compartment here, which slides forwards, is your battery compartment, which takes 4 AA 1.5 volt batteries. This side of the actual unit completely uncluttered. That's really about it. You know, it is sort of fairly sort of basic, and but you've got to think, you know, back in the 19 sort of like 60s, 19 sort of 70s even. I mean, you know, this really was something quite dramatic. And if Sinclair could have only have just produced this, say, in 1967, where he originally intended to do the first Microvision, you know, it would have been fantastic. And even in 1978, you know, pocket transistor radios, they were still quite a new thing, really. So, I mean, to have something like this, it truly was magic. You know, I can just about remember when these came out, and they were just unbelievable. So that's really, you know, that's it. It's the UK model. It's a standard 625 line UHF receiver, and not too bad. It doesn't want way too much. So there you go. So if you want to buy one of these today, there's normally at least one or two of these TVs on eBay at any given time. They're not as rare actually as people would like you to believe. Price wise, well, typically I suppose minimum price would be around about probably £30–35, probably going up to, I would guess, a maximum probably around about sort of 50. But I say what I would suggest is that before you actually bid, you want to make sure that you've got one where you've actually got some pictures which actually show the tube illuminated. I mean, better still if it shows it with an actual TV picture, because obviously the tubes, are quite old now, and they do burn out. On some models they get quite hot, and around the top of the tube here, this particular plastic shroud can actually melt. So it's maybe sort of worth asking the seller, is there any signs of actually any sort of heat damage around the side of the tube, which gives you an indication of how the TV's actually been sort of used. But like I say, maximum say £50. Pick up one of these, put it into your collection. One thing you have to bear in mind is obviously they're an analog system, and throughout around the country, in the UK, the analog TV system is actually being turned off in favour of digital. I think in the USA it's been turned off for some time now. So you've got to bear that in mind. It's not really, I would say, a usable TV as such. It's just going to be sort of something for you to collect and keep, and it's quite nostalgic, and certainly worth sort of keeping. So there we go. So if you say happy bidding on one of these, make sure you get one that actually works, and thank you for watching. In part 2 we look at the Sony Watchman TV, which is made in 1987. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 2.
Shouldn't eat thee, but sacrilegious.
Are you planning to hit Ned Flanders with that pipe and take his tickets?
No. Oh. Flanders, I decided I'd like to go to the game with you.
Hell, get out the Crayolas and color me tickled pink. Ooh, what's with the lead pipe? Are you gonna get my noggin a flogging?
Well, yeah.